can't find nothing on the radio.
Ready, Steve?
Welcome to Songology. He's Bruce,
He's Richard.
and this is another episode from our Song of the Day archives.
Enjoy.
Welcome back, Bruce. It's a new week. What are we doing this week?
Think back to last fall. Do you remember last fall?
Yes.
We did a whole week of horse songs, right?
Right.
Well, after we had Hound Dog a week or so ago, why not do a whole week of songs about dogs?
Well, Charlie would like that.
Yeah, well, and inspired by Charlie, who occasionally puts in an appearance on the mid-morning show.
Oh, yes, the morning bark. He has to do that every once in a while.
And there have been quite a number of songs about dogs. Now, when I'm saying songs about dogs, I'm not the dog analogy songs, like the Everly Brothers, Hey Bird Dog, you know,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Not like that. This is like actual dogs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
For example, if you go back to 1976, the song for today is Shannon by Henry Gross. Does that ring any bells at all?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, well, go back even further. Do you remember a sort of a campy 50s revival / parody group called Sha-Na-Na?
Yes.
Okay, well, did you know that actually that Sha-Na-Na appeared at Woodstock?
I did not.
Yeah, I've never really understood how that happened. Got Hendrix and Crosby, Stills and Nash and Country Joe and the Fish and all sorts of those late 60s acts. And in the middle of all of that, you have the greasers of Sha-Na-Na. But in addition to the guys sort of greased up as 50s throwbacks, there were guys who actually played instruments, who often appeared in sort of sparkly gold lame outfits. The lead guitarist, who was one of those guys in the gold outfits, was none other than Henry Gross. And after he left Sha-Na-Na in the early 70s, he went solo and also was a songwriter. Well, he tells the story that when he was 21, he met the love of his life, and when she came into his life, she brought with her a dog, an Irish setter named Shannon. And Henry really quite bonded with Shannon, the dog, and felt really, really close to it, and said that Shannon was almost uncannily human in her behavior and was really, really good at manipulating her humans, so to speak.
Yeah.
So when Henry had been with Sha-Na-Na and then later on as a solo act, he'd had contact with the Beach Boys. And in particular, he struck up a friendship with the youngest of the Wilson brothers, Carl Wilson. So Henry Gross and Carl Wilson got together when they were both on a break. They were in Los Angeles. Carl invites Henry over. Well, come on over and we'll just spend the day shooting the breeze about guitars, cars, and rock and roll. That was the plan, right? So they're over at Carl's place. They're having a wonderful time. And they go into the kitchen where Carl proceeds to fix them some, we'll whip up a couple of sandwiches kind of thing. Well, Carl gets the sandwiches all there on the plates that's there on the counter. And he goes rooting in the refrigerator to find something to drink. And at this point, with what Henry describes as an almost military precision, Charles' two huskies, two very large Alaskan-type husky dogs, they came into the kitchen, and each of them reached up onto the counter and grabbed a sandwich and took off. He said it was one of the greatest raids that he'd ever seen. And so they start talking about dogs, and Henry mentions to Carl, well, I've got an Irish setter at home named Shannon. And that really kind of struck a chord with Carl, and he said that he had an Irish setter that was also named Shannon, and they had just lost Shannon recently because, alas, Shannon had been hit by a car. So it was kind of a sad thing for Carl. Mm-hmm. So a couple weeks later, fast forward, and Henry's at home. He's sitting in his apartment, and he's just getting to the point where they're going to be mastering his finished solo album. So he's sitting at home, he's trying to sort of come up with one more song, and he's strumming on the guitar, and he's trying to write a song. Well, the apartment above him has this incredibly loud bass sound coming from it. The guy upstairs is from South America and plays a lot of Latin music. And so Henry is trying to sort of concentrate through the thump of this Latin bass that's coming down. And he didn't go up to complain, but he tried to do some things to sort of distract himself from the noise. He decided to play records of his own, which when he did, he played his own music, that worked out, but then drowned out the bass sort of thing. But then he wasn't really able to concentrate because he was hearing the music, his music, instead of the stuff that he was trying to write. But then as he's rooting through the records, trying to come up with something, he finds a record called Ultimate Seashore, which is one of those environmental seasides records.
Yes.
And so he throws that on the turntable and he discovers, hey, this drowns out the bass noise from upstairs and it works perfectly in terms of not distracting me.
Yeah.
So he's sitting there listening to the waves and strumming his guitar, and Shannon the dog wanders in. And then he starts sort of thinking about his friend Carl, and he starts thinking about the sense of loss that one feels with losing a good friend like Carl's Shannon. And he says, almost right away, the song just sort of writes itself. It comes out, he says, it took him about 10 minutes, and he had it. Almost no revisions. It was just there. So he gets it all written. He records it and was really, really keen to get it out as a single. And one of the reasons why he was keen to get it out as a single is because he had some tapes that he brought home to play for Kathy, his beloved, and also to sort of pick which mix are we going to use for the single. And he said, there's a knock on the door, and it's the South American guy from upstairs.
Yeah.
Who has come down, not to complain about his music, but to ask him, what is that, and where can I get a copy of it? And so he said, well, hey, if we can get this fan of salsa music who doesn't really speak English, then he's hearing this through the floor of his apartment, and get him interested in this thing must be a hit. And it ended up, got to number 6 on the Billboard charts in the U.S. I got to number 32 in the U.K. Also did pretty well in Canada. It is a sad song. There's lots of sad songs about dogs, and I'm only going to do one, and then we'll go into something a little happier. But
Now, how did Carl take it?
oh, Carl loved it.
Ah.
In fact, Henry had hoped that Carl would record it, but they couldn't really get that sorted out, and so he recorded it himself. And hey, got himself a hit.
Yeah.
So let us listen to Shannon.
And as usual, I have to stop her right there due to the wonderful world of fair use rules. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. You can visit us on Facebook or head over to our website, songology.ca. Now, here's your chance to listen to the music or go on to the next episode.